This is the rear camera for the 70mai A800 dash cam. Obviously, if you're going to use a rear camera, you need a slot in your front camera to connect the rear camera, which is here. And as far as I'm aware, the A800 model is the only 70mai dash cam that will accept a rear camera. I don't have any details about compatibility, and I can't tell you whether this rear camera can be used on other models of dash cam or whether the A800 can accept other models of rear camera. The rear camera has a resolution of 1920 x 1080, but when you connect it, it alters the resolution of the front camera as well. The A800 front camera is capable of shooting 4K, which is actually a resolution of 3840 x 2160. However, when you connect the rear camera, that resolution is reduced to 2560 by 1600. The rear camera gets its power from the front camera. However, when you use the rear camera, you must have the front camera attached to the car battery. That isn't the case if you're using the front camera by itself. It will run just on its internal battery for a limited time without being connected to the car battery. But with the rear camera, it must be connected to the car battery. 70mai products tend to be packaged very well. You get a nice sealed box, so you know that when you open it, it's as it left the factory and no one has tampered with it in between. In the box, you get the camera, an electrostatic sticker, and an adhesive sticker. And the 70mai method of attaching the camera to the glass is actually very good, much better than a suction cup. The electrostatic sticker attaches to the glass very securely without using any adhesive, and you use the adhesive pad to attach the camera to the electrostatic sticker. If you want to move the camera, you just peel off the electrostatic sticker and reposition it, and it doesn't leave any adhesive mess on the glass. 70mai are extremely generous with their leads. The power lead for the front camera is 3.5 meters, which is more than ample. And the signal cable for the rear camera is 5.5 meters. This is going into my wife's little Honda Brio, and the cable only needs to be just over 1 meter for that. But what this means is that even if you've got a large minivan, the cable is still going to be long enough. Now let's install everything and take a look in the car. Let's just look at the A800 before plugging in the rear camera, because one of the functions will change. At the moment, you'll see that this switch on the far left hand side turns the microphone on and off. Audio recording on, recording has been closed. When we install the rear camera, that will change. I like small details, and one small detail is that the plug for the rear camera is longer than the plug for the DC input, so they don't get in the way and interfere with each other. When we attach the rear camera and turn the dash cam on for the first time, it should recognise that there's a rear camera attached and tell us. Let's give it a try.
Backup camera is connected.
Yep, that was successful. Now that we've got the rear camera attached, as I said earlier, the function of this switch has changed, so it's no longer the microphone. So with each depression of this button, it should flip between the front and rear camera. At the moment it's on the front camera, so I'll press it once.
Switch to rear recording.
Now it's gone to the rear recording, and press it again.
Switch to front road.
Which is the front road. So that's all working very well. When I attached the rear camera and turned the dash cam on for the first time, it did two things. It recognised that there was a rear camera installed in its holders, and if I'd had the camera in 4K mode, it would have reduced the resolution. The A800 is capable of 4K, but not with the rear camera attached. So when it sees a rear camera, it reduces the resolution. Now I've done the opposite thing. I've removed the rear camera. So when I turn it on for the first time, again, it should tell us two things. It should tell us that there's no rear camera now, And also it should give us a little warning saying that if we want to revert to 4K, we've got to do that manually. So let's give it a try.
Backup camera is disconnected.
Okay, so that's exactly right. So it tells us the backup camera is disconnected, and if we want to revert to 4K resolution, then we have to do that manually. If you want to review footage from the rear camera on the dash cam itself, just go into the gallery and you'll see options for front camera video and backup camera video. So just select the backup camera video, click, and there are all the videos from the rear camera. If you put your SD into a card reader and look on your computer, there will actually be separate folders for the front camera and rear camera. 70mai products are a mixture of good and bad. I could mention quite a few bad things, but the good things are very good hardware. They use good components and the construction is very good, and the image quality is very good. There's really nothing wrong with this image quality at all. And before I got the rear camera, I knew that on the A800 you saw the GPS coordinates and the speed in the video. And I wasn't quite sure whether you saw that information with the rear camera video, but obviously you do, as you can see here. One small problem with the rear camera is that you lose the ability to turn the microphone on and off just by pressing a button on the front dash cam. The function of that button changes with the rear camera to switch between the rear camera and the front camera. If you want to turn the microphone on and off, you have to go into the menu system, but it's not really too big a problem, and you don't find that you're changing the microphone setting very often. When I looked at the footage from the rear camera on my computer, I realised that there was another small problem. On the A800, you can change between low compression ratio and high compression ratio, and that's actually changing between H.264 and H.265. And you can also change the resolution. When I added the rear camera, I thought that those settings would change both the rear camera and the front camera at the same time, but they don't. Those compression and resolution settings only change the front camera. The rear camera is fixed. It's fixed at a resolution of 1920 by 1080, and it has a codec of H.265. This gave me a problem because none of my software will handle H.265 files. So I had to put all the files from the rear camera through a converter to change them into H.264. This isn't too bad. You can download programs for free that will convert the files, or you can convert the files online. H.265 is a better compression algorithm. It's a lot more efficient. It produces high quality files that are smaller than H.264, but the problem is that a lot of software isn't compatible, including all the software on my computer. In summary, it seems like a good little device. It's well constructed and works well with the 70mai A800. I paid 600 baht in Thailand. I bought it online, and that's just less than $20 US. But I do realise that electronic goods in this part of the world are a lot cheaper than other parts of the world, especially the UK. Earlier this year, I bought a little battery analyzer, and that cost me less than the equivalent of £6 UK. And I heard recently from someone who left a comment on one of my videos that he paid £28 for exactly the same thing. UK consumers really get ripped off, and that was one of the reasons I left back in 2003. Regarding installation, I'm going to take it to a shop to get it professionally installed. My wife's car has a hatchback, and installing a rear cam on a car with a hatchback is trickier than doing it on a car with a fixed rear windscreen. And also, I really don't want to mess up the headlining. For the footage in this video, I just installed the camera temporarily using some double-sided foam tape. I think I've covered everything, but if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below, and thank you for watching.